Hello, everybody. Welcome to session 2 of Elevate Your Wellbeing Contagious Care. How contagious has your care for yourself and others been over these last 2 days since we met? It's interesting that the first question I asked you was what's the main feeling that you have towards social distancing? And now I'd like to ask you, what's the predominant feeling you would like to have around this COVID time? We focused on what you're feeling 2 days ago, but step up to how you would like to feel. We need to vision this for the future. So can I encourage you right now, just put in the comments section one word, how you would predominantly like to be feeling through this COVID-19 season. Now, welcome everyone. It's great to see you, Amanda and Patty, and I can't see the names of it. Yes, anyway, great to see you. And can I just say how great it is, the encouragement I've had through all your messages so far in the connecting. It's a difficult way to connect, but it's what we could do. It's the best we could do. So welcome everyone. Hello Heather, so happy to see you share your genius zone. Thank you so much. And hi Alison, my sister from the US. Thank you so much. Yeah, so welcome to today. The session today is going to be on when core characteristics collide in the frustration of isolation. Now, it's interesting that different personality types respond very differently to COVID-19. Why? Because some personality characteristics are better suited to dealing with stress than others. Don't you wish you had that characteristic that that we'll talk about in a minute? But also, certain temperaments don't mind being on their own for long periods of time, whilst others absolutely go crazy round the bend, insane. So if you're an introvert, and all I mean by that is gaining your energy from within, and you would enjoy quiet reflection, reading time, just enjoying your own company, you might feel you've gone to heaven right now. Like you've been preparing for this moment for all your life, and it's here. Hallelujah. So, your deepest longings have finally been met. You've got permission to not engage with people. So you don't have to make excuses anymore for staying in. You've actually got the law on your side telling you to do this. So the law is playing your song. Whilst, take a moment to think about the people in our world who are extroverts. Have some compassion for these people because they derive their energy predominantly from others or externally to themselves. So they love being around people. They feel energized when they interact. Whether it's at a party, a soccer game, they go not just to watch the soccer, they go to chat on the sidelines, or even going to the laundromat, they'll feel good about seeing people. So it's these people that can be very lonely through this time. And if you're one of those people, I just want to encourage you that we can do some things about that. So you're hanging off the walls right now, wanting to get out and be with people. And in fact, if you're totally extrovert, you could well be missing the people that you never even liked, that you never want to have anything to do with, and now you're actually missing them. So I want you to experiment right now. Type in whether you're an extrovert or introvert, and then if you can rate your general level of contentment with social isolation out of 10. Okay, over this period of time, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being you're so content, you're actually ecstatic right now. Okay, so I'll give you a moment to do that. Hello, Sarah. Hi, Carol. Kristen, lovely to see you too. And Sarah, I'm both intro and extro in different situations. Great topic. Yes. So some of you will have a balance of both. I'm about 70% extrovert and 30% introvert. And so I enjoy time on my own. I really like my own company, need that time, especially when I'm about to go and present or do something with lots of people. I need time beforehand on my own is really important to energize beforehand. So I'm a bit of a mix, but more extrovert than introvert. Just where you get your energy from, where you derive it from. So for those of you in Australia, and I know there's a couple from overseas right now as I'm watching you, and you know, our Prime Minister Scott Morrison in his speech stated that businesses will hibernate through this time of COVID until it's finished, and then we'll all suddenly come back into action. Well, my husband John, who's very much an introvert, like, you know, 95% introvert, has taken that statement way too seriously. He decided that he'll hibernate until everything blows over and then stick his head out of the cave again. Whereas he refers to me as being like a visionary eagle, looking ahead and looking around, making the most of this opportunity, looking for ways we can develop further, grow in our own inner beings and in our relationship and with others through different ways through Zoom, looking at ways of getting more exercise. We just did a yoga session this morning, but was that his idea or mine? It was mine, but he's doing that now, which is just lovely. So it's just, whereas, you know, when he refers to me as this eagle, I'll show you we have some very sentimental birds over here that we gave to each other on our first anniversary, which was 39 years ago now. So you can see how they just move and really soar. And he sees me as that person in most situations, no matter what I'm going through. But that's not always how I see myself, let me tell you. But at this time, he's also described me as swooping down occasionally to bite this hibernating bear that he calls himself, so that I can activate him once again. And I have to say, in a moment of despair, looking at this bear, I told him that I didn't marry a couch potato. So we all have different ways of being. There's no right or wrong. It's just what our preference is, how we're different. I'm hearing you well. Welcome, Serena. Lovely to see you. Alison is extrovert for most of the time, but the older I become, the more I love some quiet time, down also to 7. Yes. Kristen is mostly introvert, but a bit of extrovert. 8 out of 10. Yes. So, you know, we each try to respond to the current situation that we're in right now in our characteristic manner. But we need to be curious as to how others with different personality types are coping with the situation. My hope is in the end that through this crisis, we can all look back on how we've grown through the process. So with that situation with my husband, John, and myself, even he said that although hibernation is warm and peaceful and loving and safe, he admits that if he hibernates for the whole time, he has realized that as COVID drags on, he'll end up as being a flabby, unfit, and boring bear. So he's decided to venture out of the cave and try to be more involved with the life of others. We've had some Zoom dinner parties, just the two of us with his best mate and his wife down in Melbourne. We're in Cammer, 2 hours of Sydney. These people that we wouldn't necessarily be seeing all the time. It's been lovely to connect in those sorts of ways. So each of us, even introverts, including introverts, are trying to look for meaning through the journey, no matter what space we're in with our preference. Now, before John and I talked about this differentness that was accentuating through this time of COVID for us in our relationship. with the extra stresses, we notice our differences are heightening even further. Why? Because when we have stress, in times of stress, we tend to do more of what we would automatically do. It's a default reaction. And so what are our strengths in ordinary times quickly develop sometimes into weaknesses. They can become problems. So the more extreme one person's behavior is, the more the other person might balance that out as well in the opposite direction. So those are the dynamics that we can need to be watching out for. And I knew I needed to share with John the effect that his hibernation, or his over-hibernation in my perception, was having on me. Talking about it enabled us to put into place some ideas to be more constructive through this time. So we set some structure, a daily routine when we are at home together. We're both working 2 days a week, but the other times we're home and still doing lots of things, very busy, but just to have that structure that fits well for us. And asking, if you, so this is with your flatmates, with your partner, with your children, or even if you're on your own, in your loneliness, how does your core personality affect the way your well-being is being experienced right now? What are the things that you can work on in your mind and growth mindset, rather than having a fixed mindset, to develop a growth mindset where you can actually have the power to say to yourself, how do I want to be through this situation? Do I want to look at this more, not just from within my own world, but how can I be a strength to my neighbours through this time? How can I have a growth mindset to actually see what I can learn through this process, rather than just caving in and pretending it'll go away, or hoping it'll go away, and wasting all that energy on the hope that it'll go away. We know it will go away, but we need to sit and wait, and that's where that patience comes in. So how would you like to feel through these times? And when changes are occurring too quickly, and the pace of change is very rapid and overwhelming right now. Hi, Marie. It's good to see you. 8 out of 10 for you as well. Yeah. So when the pace is so challenging, we need to allow ourselves that acknowledgement of stress when there will be that stress, and how we can deal with that, the tension that causes in others, rather than focusing on the change itself. Some of you might have been overwhelmed by just watching the TV all the time, this unfolding tsunami of events that are occurring with the deaths the whole time, and how painful that is in watching that and knowing loved ones who are in that situation of having the illness, the virus. But we need to monitor how much we're watching and what times we're watching the TV, because that again will affect our personality type and how we respond to that. So can I encourage you to be mindful of A, how much you're watching, B, not to be waking up in the morning and turning that TV or news on straight away. I'll be looking in another session on 2020, how we actually spend that first hour of the day is crucial to the way the rest of our day pans out. So look forward to that session later down the track. Thank you for these tips, Serena. Thank you for being encouraged by that. I love the growth mindset, Alison's saying. Fixed mindset comparison. Yeah, I use this with my students to help them grow. A great tool. Thank you, Alison. Yeah, so it's something that we can develop, and what an opportunity to be able to develop this growth mindset through this time. So discover the things that you want to implement to come out on top of COVID. I know I've just mentioned the different personality type this session of extroversion versus introversion. But can I say there's another one that really comes to play right now? And put your yeses in the comments if this relates to you. The different personality type of needing or preferring order and control versus, hey, she'll be right, mate. Let's go with flexibility. Let's go with the flow. You know, anything happens, it's okay. So that's the phlegmatic personality that can just flow with the punches. Which one are you in terms of preference? Which one do you more just gravitate towards? Because if you need order and control, neither is good or bad. It's just neutral. It just is. But if you're one who needs more order and control, allow that to be, but hold on the other hand, just what you can be flexible in to enable maybe your partner who is more, you might see them as chaotic in their way of their study, might just be overwhelmed with mess and they can work with that. But just tell your partner or whoever you're living with, your children, your flatmates, whoever, what type of environment do you need to be able to function best in at this time? So that's the conversation you might like to have if you're extremes on the order versus going with the flow. And if you need to control your own environment to feel more secure, what are the areas in your life that you can control? And if that's okay, if that works for you and it's productive, go for it. Like I know I can have 100% control over my reaction to things, 100%. But I cannot control the things. I've gone through cancer, through breast cancer 10 years ago. I know I didn't have control of that coming into me, but because I ate well, I exercised well, you know, I don't carry resentment. So, you know, and they're just, you know, some things that may have a small amount to do with some cancers, but generally cancer and life-threatening illnesses and chronic illnesses just come, and there can be no preempt or what we have done in the preamble to bring that on. Life just throws us these curveballs. So those are the things we can't control, but we have 100% control over our response to them. And we'll look at that as well in future sessions. Hello, Annie. Good to see you from Tumut. Lovely to have my Tumut friends here. Yeah, and Amanda's saying, I gravitate towards order and control. However, when I feel it in my body, I move to letting it go, allowing other things to flow more fully. Yes, wonderful, Amanda. And that's where the balance comes in. So I'm going to finish up now, but think about those particularly two contrasting personality characteristics of extroversion versus introversion, where you derive your energy from mostly, and your need or preference for order and control versus being flexible and going with the flow. Again, if we can balance things, we're going to be able to adapt to all the more curveballs and situations we don't have control over. So balance is really important in life, but remember what strength you have can be utilized as a strength. We need to accept our uniqueness, and we don't have to be the perfect all-rounded person because we can't. That's impossible, but we can develop the strengths and work on the limitations that, to a degree, that we desire to have. So work on those limitations to make them more limited in your life, but accept what's happened, as Carol has said. Marie, fabulous. Thank you. I'm glad you're valuing it and getting a lot out of it. So yes, I leave you with that. We're going to be looking at, on Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, we're going to be looking at how to manage our emotions, because we've focused on that 2 days ago, on what we are feeling. Remember, at the end of this session, if you can just type in the comments how you would like to feel predominantly, just one word, through this COVID crisis. Because if you can decide how you would like to feel, we can help you get there. You can help yourself get there. So this is about tips and tools and how we can bring ourselves together to be able to support one another through this time. Love that top, Heather. I remember the day you purchased that for sharing these thoughts and tips. Love it. There's my sister. We were in Italy together and you got a good memory, girl. And I've got our mum's necklace on too. Looking forward to re-watching. Thanks, Annie. So all the very best. It's so lovely to engage with you all. Remember, just before you close up here, write down what feeling you want to experience most of the time through this COVID season. So until Saturday at 11 o'clock, be brave, be life-giving, and let your light shine. Bye-bye.